Hey everyone. Yeah, I thought I'd kind of wait a little bit to kind of give my own 2 cents, if you will, on the whole CM Punk situation. And I apologize for the beep, a little pop you heard there. Somebody just sent me a message on Facebook or on my email. And again, like I said, I want to give my own thoughts on it so I don't ramble on or anything. But Thanksgiving weekend, if you're a wrestling fan and a fan of someone like, let's say, CM Punk, it was quite the interesting weekend and quite a weekend of discussion. You know, I was kind of surprised by this. I was wondering, what, because I read this online, I read it on Facebook and stuff. I was like, well, what are they talking about? Speaks out. What's going on here? So I go and I look, and he's basically speaking out finally on his best friend's podcast, Art of Wrestling, which is hosted by Colt Cabana, which I can be honest to say I am one of those many fans that got to actually take a picture and talk with Colt one time when he participated and had a match at the Central States Wrestling in Lawrence, Kansas. So anyway, he actually was given, as some people put it, a form to speak his mind. It wasn't a shoot. Some might interpret it as a shoot. It was more like, hey, let me just get this off my chest so people will know. So basically, hold on for a second. Sorry about that. I thought my mom had come home early, but she didn't. But anyway, like I said, basically Colt Cabana gave Punk a form to say, hey, let me just get this out of the open because I know people want to know, but I don't want to turn this into a shoot. I don't want to bash the WWE or anything like. I don't. Well, he kind of bashed them in a sense, but not really. He's like, let me just get this off my chest. Let me let people know what's going on. So he ends up basically discussing his side of things, how things came to be, which led to him leaving the company at the beginning of this year. And I found it quite interesting when I heard some of the things. Now, I'm also going off what Solomon said in his recap of the interview, and somewhat of what Punk said himself. And I interpretate this as, okay, this is Punk's side of things, and probably, probably the most truthful side we're going to get from anyone. The most truthful side, like I said, that we're going to get from anybody. So, here's Punk basically talking about certain things. And to me, as a wrestling fan, even though I watch WWE when I can, at least try to keep up with it, it kind of really puts WWE in somewhat of a negative light when it comes to certain things. You know, and it also puts the doctors that they have on staff for to come down to ringside, try to stop the bleeding if somebody accidentally gets busted open, da da da, all that. And with excuse me, when I hear when I hear Punk talk about what happened at the Rumble, and that whole situation before and during and after the event, it tells me that WWE knows, honestly, they're in a situation where they need all the star power they can get and they're willing to do whatever it takes. In other words, they're saying, hey, look, we know you might have this staph infection, we know you might have this or that, but you know what, we need you right now. You can't leave, we need you. I mean, they're not going to flat out say, oh, well, if you leave, people are going to stop viewing, and we're going to lose millions and millions and millions of dollars. We need you, oh, please, please. They're not going to tell you that. They're just going to, as CM Punk put it, they're just going to try to blow smoke up your ass. And to me, I don't think CM Punk viewed it like that. I think he viewed it like, hey, I'm one of those guys you're not going to fool. You're not going to sit there and say, oh, well, it's not so bad. Go ahead, you'll be fine if it doesn't really hurt you. Go ahead, you'll be fine. He's not the kind of guy that when you tell him that, he'll be like, oh, okay, if you say so. No, he's the kind of guy that's going to tell you straight to your face, hey, I got this on my back. Cut the son of a bitch out right now. Because it's cutting color. I need you to get it off my back. And basically, to me, it shows how desperate WWE is for star power. Even if it's people that, legitimately, when I hear this podcast, they don't really give two flying fucks about. They don't. They don't. This has always been the interpretation I've taken away from WWE when it comes to these indie guys. It's like, unless you're willing to conform to the ways of WWE, learn the WWE style, learn the WWE, style of wrestling, learn the WWE lifestyle of being the character you are in real life as well, and, doing this and doing that. Unless you're that kind of person, unless you're willing to say, hey, I'll do it. I'll conform to your ways. I'll be that person you want me to be. Unless, like I said, unless you're willing to do that, you're pretty much screwed up the a-hole. That's what I get. That's the interpretation I get from it. That, unless you're willing to say, you know what, I know I did a lot, I accomplished a lot before I came to WWE, but that doesn't really matter now. I'm going to be a good soldier boy, and I'm going to do what the WWE wants me to do. Unless you willingly agree to something like that, WWE's going to be like, hey, screw you. We may put, let's say, they may go like, yeah, we may put the belt on you and make you the main guy, in the future. And everything's like, hey, we may make you the main guy in the future. We may put the belt on you and, say you're the guy that's the champion of our company, but we ain't going to treat you like the champion. We're just going to treat you like somebody else. We're just going to treat you like a mid-card deal or something like that. And that's the feeling. That's the feeling I get coming away from listening to the recaps and from someone what Punk said in his interview. Well, not interview, but his form said in his little form here. That's basically the interpretation I get. It's like WWE doesn't really give a shit about you unless you are willing to become one of them, one of their own creations. In other words, homegrown in their opinion, and not relying on what you had done in the past, or relying on fans to think, hey, this is CM Punk. He used to be in Ring of Honor. Yay! To me, that's somewhat what I take away from it. It's like, unless you're willing to say, hey, those days I had in Ring of Honor, they don't exist anymore. I've never been a Ring of Honor guy. I've always been a WWE guy. They don't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit. And now you might say, well, what about Daniel Bryan? Now, Daniel Bryan's an exception because, yeah, he is a Ring of Honor guy. But here's the thing. Daniel Bryan, despite the fact that he could be similar to Punk in many ways, WWE knows they have a monster on their hands with this guy. That if you try to deface him, devalue him, like they've done, like they tried to do before like last year and all that at times. It's like if you try to push him down, you try to, you know, devalue him and everything, you're going to have fans hijacking your show, chanting boring during certain matches with certain superstars or divas. You know, you're going to have all this happening. You know, you're going to have all this happening if you do what you did to Punk, or what you've tried to do to people like Punk, if you try doing that with Daniel Bryan. And you are going to get, and they know they're going to get screwed in the ass. And they're going to probably get more screwed in the ass tonight and upcoming than they've ever been because of what CM Punk has said. You know, and to find out that what Punk had on his back, the thing that he told the doctor, the WWE doctor, hey, take this thing off my back, cut it out. To find out that it was something that could eventually have killed him, it just tells me WWE again, they're desperate. They're desperate for talent. They're desperate to keep guys around no matter what. I mean, heck, you have Vince McMahon calling up CM Punk from what he said, telling him, oh, by the way, I booked you in a TLC match with Ryback for the title. And this is basically going to be 2 weeks after Punk just had knee surgery. It shows you WWE, and I hate to say this about a company I've been a fan of, that I've enjoyed watching since I was a kid. It's hard for me to say that about them. You know, it's hard for me to say that about them, but it's the truth. It is the truth. I mean, and I think WWE right now should get a clue. If people like a former WWE champion is willing to speak out on you and say the things that he has said, basically saying that, hey, you're so desperate for talent that you have to call back guys that are injured right after they have surgery, that's pathetic. That's pathetic. It's really pathetic on their part. They should learn that, hey, you got a whole group of men and women on your roster that you can actually elevate. But still, it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. And then to take the idea that they did with the Shield. Now, apparently the idea for the Shield originally, from two ways of looking at it, was supposed to be Seth Rollins, Big Show, Daniel Bryan. Okay, we get that. That might have sounded good on paper. But then Punk says, no, I don't want to go Big Show and Daniel Bryan because they're pretty much already established. What's the point? How about we go Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, and Cassius Ohno, a.k.a. Chris Hero? Did they do that? No, they didn't do that. They didn't do that because of the fact that they said, okay, we'll go with Ambrose, we'll go with Rollins, but we're going to go with somebody else instead of Hero. Let's go with Roman Reigns, Likey, as he was known in FCW and NXT. Let's go with Roman Reigns. You know why? Even though he agreed to it, do you know why they went with Roman? Because they saw another, as some people point out, another big time player with the WWE look that they want. That's what they saw. That's what they saw. Hold on for a sec.